Okay, hi everybody. Teching 101 here, along with Barry and Belle, who's dressed up as a Viking for some reason. All right, Elbath, that's the reason. Yeah, that makes sense. I just woke up, like, not long ago, which I think is the perfect headspace to be in, considering we're talking about a legion of nightmare creatures emerging from the Sun Forest to attack the Walrus School. One Piece is weird when you throw it out there like that, right? Legion of nightmare creatures emerging from the Sun Forest to attack the Walrus School. Yeah, okay, sure. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that today. So, it's an interesting kind of dynamic to figure out, how the God's Knight's Devil Fruit abilities are all working in tandem. Is it all mostly Killingham that's doing this? Did Summers also help a little bit as well? We know Gunko was using her arrow abilities to guide the children in one direction, like, forming a single file line towards the beach. Here's something, honestly, now that I'm going back and rereading the chapter, at the end, we have Killingham, who, by the way, there's that one panel where Killingham is, like, nodding off like he's going asleep, so I'm not really sure if that's to indicate that he was asleep when he activated his ability to summon the nightmare creatures, and then he woke back up, because he is talking. Summers tells him, hey, good job, Killingham, and then Killingham responds with, oh, hey, the time limit is until they reach the ship. So that actually gives us a couple of new pieces of context on exactly how this ability works, okay? I think it's pretty clear, considering Killingham is asleep, or was asleep, is that his ability allows him to go into some kind of dream realm, a la Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, except he just looks a little bit more goofy than Freddy. I don't know, Freddy looked a little bit goofy, you gotta be honest there. I mean, he was creepy, but also kind of silly, right? The Christmas sweater, wasn't doing him any favors. But anyway, goes into the nightmare realm, and then stirs up all of these creatures, takes the children's worst fears, and then manifests them in the living world, okay? And it would make sense that after that ability has been done, after he went into the nightmare world and awakened all the animals and all the, like the Fenrir and the dragon and the revenant thing and that one kid's mom and all the ghosts and the evil version of Nika and Loki and everything like that, it would make sense that he would wake back up after that, be like, oh, okay, well, I went into the dream realm and I awoke all the children's worst fears. Time limits until they reach the ship. Okay, two things. Number one, there's a time limit, which means that this ability doesn't last for very long. So eventually, when the children reach the boat, the nightmare creatures, I guess, will vanish. Second thing, where is the boat? When did you guys have a boat? Like, the whole idea is they can't use the Abyss to teleport the children back to Marijois because they don't have the mark. And, you need to have the mark, probably something given to you by Emu in order to actually use the Abyss. We talked about that before. So they have to transport them by ship. Dude, transporting from Elbaf to Marijois would take a while, okay? It would take days and days, possibly, honestly, weeks of travel to go from Elbaf to Marijois, but that's beside the point. Where did you guys get a boat? I mean, they're on the Sun Lair, too, so, like, that beach that they're at the Warriors Spring, that's not the ocean. They need to get down into the ocean, get on a boat, and then go to Marijois. I don't know. Wouldn't it be crazy if Summer's ability was just to summon a boat? Although, I guess, I don't know. I mean, like, you could probably use Gunko's ability to do that. She can make an aeroplane. Ha-cha-cha-cha. So I'm assuming she could also make some kind of ship out of arrows, but they did say, like, oh, they'll reach the ship. So, I don't know, it implies they have a ship all ready to go. I'm assuming it's probably Gunko's power, because they didn't bring anything with them, or they'll just, like, steal a ship or something like that. I'm not really sure. So, seems to be Killingham. That's the ability to create the nightmare creatures, okay? Now, there's some other stuff going on here. Most notably, the children fell asleep, and we saw this. We saw the children, like, only the children, not the teachers or Saul or the Straw Hats or anybody, only the children at the school falling asleep. All right, so is that also Killingham's power? It would make sense if it works in tandem with the nightmare abilities or to go into dreams. It would make sense to be like, oh, go to sleep and then enter their dreams. That would make Freddy Krueger, eat his heart out, okay? Freddy Krueger didn't even have that ability. All right, he had to wait for you to fall asleep, okay? And it's just like he's sitting around in the dream world in his spooky-ass boiler room being like, all right, they're going to run out of coffee at some point. they're going to run out of coffee and trucker pills at one point, and then I got them. You know, that's what Freddy had to do. Killingham might just be able to bypass all that. Or it could be Summers' ability. Summers might have had the ability to, like, put the children to sleep, and then Killingham activates his dream power, okay? And then Gunko uses the arrow abilities to guide them, okay? There was also another aspect of this that I missed in the review. So, when they're treating Wolf, the PE teacher, the gym teacher, Mr. Wolf, right? They're treating him, and he's all bloodied, and he's bleeding a lot. I assume that was from the Jormungandr, the giant serpent at the beginning of the chapter, because we do see Wolf there, like, picking up a club to try to, like, defend the children from this giant snake. He probably did get some injuries from that, but more specifically, when Saul is running away to try to stop the children from leaving, you know, they're off on the beach, like in a trance, like sleepwalking away, Wolf is like, no, don't touch them. All right, so that implies that when, you know, they were doing the PE class or whatever, and the children maybe started going into a trance or passing out and walking away, Wolf is like, hey, are you kids okay? And he came in contact with them, and then all of a sudden something happened that maybe did a lot of damage. That could be Summers' ability. That could also be Gunko's arrows, though. Like, just like she summons the arrows to, like, stab anybody that comes too close to the children, right? Or that could also be an extension of Killingham. Killingham has a mythical zone, so, like, his abilities are going to be probably all wackadoodle. They're going to be all over the place. If he's able to do this, like, summon the Nightmare Legion, like, already that's broken as shit. So, like, if that's the ability to, like, oh, I can use my ability to hypnotize people, put them to sleep, summon their greatest night terrors made manifest into the physical plane, and if anybody tries to come in contact with them to, like, shake them awake or something like that, then, you know, like, I don't know, they get hit in the face with a giant dragon or something. Like, I don't know, they get hurt. I don't know. I'm assuming it probably wasn't Killingham that did that part of it. I'm assuming it was either Gunko or Summers. And also, Summers does say a thing at the end of the chapter that's a little strange. He's kind of laughing, and he asks Gunko, are you afraid of anything? And she says, I'm afraid of Nika, the sun god. But he also says, in the official Viz translation, he says, to know love is to wound one another. Okay, so that seems to imply, like, oh, Saul and the teachers, they want to protect the kids, but it's that desire to want to protect them is going to result in something that hurts them. Maybe it's something along those lines. That also, once again, I'm feeling something from Saint Summers when it comes to his ability. I'm feeling some weird Fae power. I mentioned it before multiple times, but the more shit is progressing here, and then the stuff he's kind of saying here, and, like, he has a rose on his jacket, and his sword has, like, thorns sticking out of it, I'm just sensing some weird Fey-wild bullshit from him, right? Like, he's gonna have some ability that's gonna, like, mess with human perception, or, like, you know, oh, I can use my abilities to put you asleep, or I can use my abilities to, like, oh, you want to protect the children, well, now a giant serpent's gonna come out and strangle you, or, like, something like that, right? Like, I'm picturing it like that. Now, something else. I went back because I was curious on how they're gonna actually beat these nightmare demon things, right? So when the Jormungandr, the giant serpent, attacks at the beginning of the chapter, right, we see it outside the school. Children are running away from it. Kiba, the principal, runs in with his giant warhammer and smacks that thing right in the face. So first of all, it gets injured. Like, we see it reeling, okay? So it's physical matter they're dealing with. It's not some kind of, like, intangible, like, ghost, like, well, there are ghosts, but in the case here, these ghosts could be injured, all right? They are physical. All right, it's not like they're phasing through walls and whatever, and, like, you can't hit them or something like that. No, they can be struck. It also looks like they can feel pain, and more importantly, this is what I was curious about, and I'm not really 100% sure because we don't see, like, every single panel of this, but Saul shows up and punches Jormungandr with his ability, his Demon Purification Final Exam fist, punches it, it gets knocked to the ground. It loses consciousness, so it can't move anymore. And then you see Saul and Kiba kind of standing on it, you know, to, like, kind of pin it down. So does the snake stick around even after it's been defeated, or did it, like, you know, phase back into, like, I don't know, dream essence or something? Like, it just vanished into the ether. It appears like it didn't. It appears like it's a physical creature that when defeated still sticks around. Now, I'm sure when the time limit runs out or whenever Killingham decides to disengage his ability, that's when all of the nightmare creatures disappear. But that's important to know that, like, even if you defeat them, they stick around. So, like, Fenrir was going up against, let's say, Frankie, and Frankie just unloaded, right? Like, he's like, Frankie RPG, Frankie missile, strong rider, da-da-da-da-da-da. He's like unloading into this nightmare wolf. He uses radical beam and everything, just launches into this creature and just completely decimates it, right? Just bombards the thing. It still sticks around after. Maybe they can heal too. That's another thing. Considering they're like made manifest from a child's fears and their nightmares, maybe the Jormungandr will like heal and be like, get back up to attack again. Who knows? Because the rules for these things are honestly up in the air at this point. So let's go through them all again. I went through them in the review, but I think I got all of them. There was the bird thing and the bear that's wearing a helmet. There are references. I can't pull them up right now, but there were references I did see somewhere to exactly what those things were. But they are like Norse mythology characters. Like there is a bear in Norse mythology that does wear like a Viking helmet. So that's where that comes from. The serpent or the dragon here is the Nidhogg, similar to Jormungandr in that like it's a giant serpent dragon kind of thing, but it has a very specific job. The Jormungandr encircles the entire planet. Like it's more of a serpent, and it's kind of like an Ouroboros. It eats its own tail. It's so big. But then also you have the Nidhogg that's gnawing on the root system of the Yggdrasil, okay? Which also, I'm guessing, going along with it, these creatures don't really exist on the Adamwood tree. I'm just gonna say that. I mean, like, because if there really was like an actual Nidhogg, I think that would be like mentioned by now, rather than it just being a child's like nightmare fuel. Okay, so it seems like, yeah, no, that doesn't really exist. It's just being manifested here. Then again, I mean, Loki is also a dream nightmare creature as well, kind of like a dream warrior or something. And we all know Loki is real, so who knows? Maybe some of this stuff is real and some of it isn't. I don't know. But that's the Nidhogg, and then we have the bird. Then we have Loki right in the center. Dude, I want to see, because this is also taking a lot of references from the mural, and we see a giant in the mural that's most likely Loki. Dude, I want to see Loki, the real Loki, show up to the sun lair and see this like fake kind of like doodle bob variant of Loki, and he's holding a sword and the hammer, and he's like, me hoy me Neumann, and he's going after Loki, and Loki's like, what the fuck is this shit? He just picks up a hammer and just completely destroys his nightmare version of himself, Doodle Loki. Like, I want to see that so bad. Like, Loki's like, what the hell? Because this Loki is like, he's got sharp fangs and he's got a beard and he's just like, roar, like shouting to the heavens with his weapons. And I don't think Loki's going to be like, well, what's going on here, right? Then we have Fenrir. Dude, Fenrir also looks pretty intimidating. Like, the three most intimidating creatures that are summoned with this ability are easily Loki, Nidhogg, and the Fenrir. All right. Yeah, Nika looks a little bit intimidating here as well. And we also have that kid's mom. And then the Revenant thing. That's also pretty creepy. But I'm going to go with those three in the center. So maybe we can have Loki. Oh, dude, I'm picturing an awesome double-page spread right now. When everybody reaches the sun lair, let's say Loki takes Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy up to the sun lair. I'm picturing Loki takes down Loki. And then Zoro decapitates the Nidhogg, just like he did with Dragon number 13 at Punk Hazard. They even kind of look similar. Then we can have Sanji kick the wolf. He just goes Ifrit Jambe and just kicks the wolf. And then Luffy. Who could Luffy fight? Which one of these would make sense for Luffy to fight? The bear, the storm cloud, Nika, Ghost with a top hat. I think Ghost with a top hat. Luffy's gonna go after Ghost with a top hat, or beat up that kid's mom. But obviously, yeah, Luffy's going to fight against the evil version of Nika. So, here's something. They were able to take down Jormungandr, which was one of these nightmare creatures, fairly easily. I mean, like a tag team between Kiba and Saul. So, like, Kiba runs in, hits the Jormungandr one time with his hammer, and then we have Saul from the top rope coming down with his, exorcism fist. Just one punch. One punch Saul was enough to take this thing down. Now, look, I'm not saying that these characters aren't powerful. They clearly are. I mean, Kiba was a former member of the Giant Warrior Pirates, and Saul used to be a vice admiral, all right? So they got power. But I'm just saying that, like, if one hit from Kiba, one hit from Saul is enough to kill one of these things, like, for good, if that's really what happened, then they're really not as intimidating as they might seem. Like, Robin could take one of these things out easily. Chopper could take one of these things out easily. And then if, like, we have the other giants there, too, and also Saul could just, punch more of them. It's just like, I'm only good for one punch per day. That's, like, one punch per day. That's my ability, right? Like, no. Ooh, that would be a good Nen ability in Hunter x Hunter. You could have a really powerful punch, but you can only use it once a day. That'd be a cool Nen power. Like, if I was an enhancer, that would be my ability. One punch per day. It's like, there we go. Anyway, we have Ripley, and we have the other, giants that are there. Like, we have the other teachers that could fight. And then if Luffy, Loki, Sanji, and Zoro show up, like, this would honestly be taken care of fairly quickly, right? Then again, we don't know the full breadth of what these things can all do. Like, we see the giant storm cloud. I'm assuming the giant storm cloud can shoot lightning bolts, okay? Oh, since we do have Nika here, like the sun god, drawn by a child, like, does it basically work with, like, the child has the image of the sun god as a destroyer? So, therefore, would this version of the sun god be able to do all the wacky Gear 5th stuff that Luffy's able to do? That would actually be really scary. I mean, Luffy is obviously stronger. He could take care of it. That Revenant thing, Revenants are, like, really hard to kill. Like, that's the kind of the whole point of them. They're, like, beings, like, undead zombies of pure vengeance that are ridiculously powerful, right? So, I don't know. Maybe, like, Saul punches this thing square in the face, knocks its skull off, and it just picks it up and puts it right back on, and just, right? And then we have the mom, who, it could not be Big Mom, but, or designed after Big Mom. I think it was just that one giant's mom that he was scared of that he drew. But still, there's a giant mother stomping around Elbaf. There is a fear there from the other giants, maybe way back in the day. So maybe that kid that drew his mom might not know about, like, Charlotte Linlin and all the damage she brought to that village 60-something years ago, because he wasn't alive at that point. But the older giants that see that, like Kiba or, Blade or one of the, like Ripley even might see a giant like that. Like Ripley was like around, I think Ripley's 80. She's around the same age as Gerd and Hiruden, right? So she would remember that for sure, right? So like if she sees this big mother stomping around attacking, Ripley might have a flashback to when she was a child and Big Mom torched the village. Could be something like that easily, right? So, yeah, I don't think these are going to be a major problem, especially compared to, like, all the other crazy threats the Straw Hats have faced. However, I think the major thing here that the God's Knights are attempting, and we have Killingham doing this, is they're kidnapping the children, and they know that the giants are going to all go after them. Do the God's Knights know the Straw Hats are on the island? I feel like they should know that because they knew the Straw Hats left Egghead with Dory and Broggy and the Giant Warrior Pirates, so they should know they're going there. I don't think any of the God's Knights have mentioned the Straw Hats specifically yet. Like, Gunko hasn't said, like, yes, this will lure out the Straw Hat Pirates. Nothing like that of that nature. But they have to be at least aware they're around, right? So the point is, not so much to completely level Elbaf with this Nightmare Legion, but to more be like just distract the giants with them while the children are getting on the boat and then taken to Marijois. That's the main point of this, right? Okay. I think it's also pretty fair to say that in the next chapter, we're going to get the Devil Fruit name of at least Killingham and see what his ability is really capable of. Maybe Summers as well might extrapolate a little bit from that. We might find out more about his thing as well. Shamrock, of course, returned to Marijois. However, I will say this. I do want to actually touch base with Shamrock every once in a while here. I mean, we literally just introduced him. The chapter was called, like, Here's Shamrock, or Introducing King Shamrock. Like, this is Shanks' twin brother, kind of a big deal. So if, like, occasionally Oda wants to, like, go away from Elbaf for, like, a panel or two or, like, a page or so and just go back to Marijois really quick so we could see a Shamrock meeting with Garling and to see what he's up to and everything like that, I think that would be necessary here. I don't want this to be a thing where, like, oh, yeah, Shamrock was introduced. He's Shanks' brother. Isn't that crazy? And then he disappears for the majority of Elbaf, and then at the very, very end, like, several dozen chapters from now, we finally get Shamrock again, right? I don't know how long Elbaf's gonna last. I mean, I brought this up before, like, we're only, like, 16 chapters into it, but I don't want this to be like, oh, the final battle of Elbaf begins here, you know, like, or maybe it does begin here, but it lasts a while. I don't think it's gonna be nearly as long as Wano. I mean, that Wano was a crazy long arc that I don't think we're gonna get again until maybe we get to Laugh Tale. Maybe, like, Laugh Tale, then the final war. That would be precedence to have, you know, that would be worthy of having, like, a 100 chapter plus arc, okay? Egghead was around 60-something chapters, but then again, also remember, shit hit the fan really quick in Egghead too. Like, the Straw Hats didn't even really, that's something I'm kind of disappointed in. The Straw Hats didn't even really have time to fucking enjoy Egghead, you know, to, like, walk around this futuristic city and talk to all the, like, the different scientists. Like, yeah, Luffy and Bonnie and Jinbei and Chopper, they went to a vending machine, they goofed around a little bit in the city, but things got live really quick in Egghead. Like, within, like, less than 10 chapters of arriving at Egghead, Cypher Pole Zero arrives, they're starting shit, and it's like, oh man, we gotta get up to the Labo phase, and then Luffy goes Gear 5th and is fighting Lucci again, and Atlas gets her face blown off, you know, and then the Seraphim are doing stuff, and then the Mark IIIs are activated. Like, that was relatively early on into Egghead, right? Like, it was like, no, let's get moving. And look how much stuff still happened. Like, Cypher Pole Zero wasn't even antagonistic threat in that arc. You know, it eventually ended up becoming Saturn arriving, and then Kizaru is there, and you think that's gonna be it? No, and then the Gorosei arrived. So yeah, no. We're still too early in the arc for this to be like, oh, this is the principal threat right here. This is the main threat of Elbaf, this Nightmare Legion. Oh, no, and remember, at the end of the day, this is one ability from one of the Gods Knights. Right? Like, maybe some, like I said, like, Gunko's helping out, maybe Summer's helped out too, but the fact that Killingham alone was able to do this as one of the Gods Knights, he might have other abilities too, is wild, and it's a good way of introducing who these people really are, right? Okay, and how much of a threat they really pose. But anyway, that's the video. That's pretty much all I got for you today. Thanks for watching, everybody, and let me know down below who is your favorite nightmare creature, and what was your scariest nightmare that you've ever had that could be made manifest into one of these by Killingham's ability. When I was a little kid, I used to have nightmares quite frequently after I saw the movie Toy Story. Do you know Sid's dog in that movie? And it's like really kind of poor CG from like the 90s. I mean, it was pretty good at the time, but looking back, right? So Sid's dog, that scene where Woody and Buzz have to like step over the dog on the stairs and the dog is asleep and its teeth are just like razor sharp teeth and it's chasing them down the street. Dude, I used to have nightmares of Sid's dog chasing me throughout my town. Like, oh God, that was terrifying. I actually kind of had a little bit of a fear of dogs when I was a kid because of that dream. Yeah, that would be like one of my, either giant wasps or Sid's dog from the movie Toy Story would be the nightmare made manifest. All right, or that giant spider. Yeah, that was also good. That was giant spider on my, that was a straight up sleep paralysis dream. That was terrifying, with the giant spider the size of a basketball on my ceiling that was like slowly descending towards my face, like a face hugger from Alien. Like that was also pretty bad. Yeah, so any of those as a nightmare creature would be pretty formidable. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be TechEggs signing out. Later.